What is up, guys? D Chantilly here, and today we have a very interesting video. But before we get into that, I recently got a PC. I'm starting to move over to the PC R6, and so if the aim looks a little scuffed, you know why. But today's video is about the R6 or Rainbow Six World Cup. This will be the first World Cup for Rainbow Six, and it's set to take place in summer of 2021. This is going to be a pretty fun event, in my opinion. There'll be 45 countries and regions competing for the title of the best. There are 14 countries that will receive automatic spots, leaving 31 countries to compete in the qualifiers. The qualifier stage will take place in winter of 2021, and we'll see 12 EU countries competing for 2 slots, 4 LATAM countries competing for 1 slot. There will be 2 APAC divisions. So there'll be a group of 5 competing for 1 slot and a group of 4 competing for 1 slot. And then we have 6 MENA countries, which means Middle East and North Africa. They'll be competing for 1 slot. And so in total, there will be 20 teams competing for the title. And that'll be 14 automatic qualifiers and 6 qualifiers from the qualifying stage. Each country will have a national committee composed of 3 members, a Ubisoft representative, a pro player or coach, and a community representative. And then there's a rule that makes things very interesting. You cannot have more than 2 players from the same org on the team. So you can't have 3 DZ members, 3 SSG members. You can only have a maximum of 2. But we're here to talk about Team USA because this team is going to be stacked pretty much any way you put it. And so I came up with 5 players that I think would be really good for this roster. And originally I had 3 locks. I had 3 players that I think are going to be on the roster no matter what. But then I upped it to 4, which made selecting the 5th person extremely difficult because I really had to prioritize it. I wanted specialists. Who do I want to fill this void right here at number 5? And so let's take a look at the locks first and then take a look at my choices for the 5th man on the team. And you can't have a roster without Bosco, aka Boss Goat. And so we're going to take some stats from the NAL US Division Stage 1. So that's what you see on the screen. They're most used operators on attack and defense from Stage 1. And so let's take a look at Bosco. He's one of the best and most notable players in the world. He finished the US Stage 1 with a rating of 1.16, which was 6th best. He was tied first in cost, which is kills, objective, survive, or trade, at 73%. Bosco just flat out impacts the round, and there's really no way around it. He had a KD of plus 27, he had the most clutches with 7, and he had the highest percentage of rounds survived at 41%. And so when you look at constructing this team, it's pretty hard to start anywhere else but Bosco. Then we have Bolo, probably the most popular player in North America and one of the most popular in the world. He is a great fragger, but he's also underrated in the support role. When you look at his most played operators in Stage 1, he was Thatcher. Now, yes, Thatcher has a very good gun. I like using the gun, but he also has very useful utility. And on the defensive side, he played Mute. And so when you look at what he was able to do in Stage 1, he had the 3rd best rating at 1.2. He had the best KD at plus 47. He had a 70% cost. He was 4th in kills per round at 0.92. This roster could definitely use a guy like Bolo. Then we have Mint, and Mint is the captain of a surging DZ team right now. And when you look at the stats, they don't necessarily jump off the page. They don't make you go get this guy on the team right now. He has a 1.0 rating, plus 2 KD, 38% survival, which is high, but he has a 70% cost. He impacts rounds, and he's a high IQ player that helped set his team up for success. And so I think Mint can actually somewhat thrive as a flank watch for this team. And not just that, I think he can thrive in other roles because he's just that kind of player. I think he can get in where he fits in and make an impact. And so I'd probably pick him to be the captain of this team, in all honesty. Then we have Hyper, and I didn't have Hyper as a lock, and it's not because of talent. I don't know if he's representing the U.S. or Greece, and obviously I want him to represent the U.S. That's an obvious bias of mine, but Hyper was absolutely amazing. Stage 1 was fantastic. I mean, he had a rating of 1.33. He had a plus 30 KD, which was 6th best. He was tied for 1st in cost at 73%. And man, I would do anything for Hyper to play for Team USA. But even when you look at what they did during the qualifier, DZ really stepped up there, and Hyper was a big part of that. And so I think Hyper would fit in just nicely with this roster. And now we're on the hunt for the 5th, and these are my candidates. for the final spot, we have Biologic from Oxygen Esports, Rampy from Space Station Gaming, Iconic from Saskatchewan Sonics. You have NJR from Disrupt Gaming, Laxing from Oxygen Esports, and Chala from Team Solo Mid, aka TSM. And for my fifth, I had to narrow it down, and I had to determine what I wanted. And I decided to go for an entry guy. I wanted somebody who can get that entry frag. Now, the roster is capable of doing that as is, but I kind of wanted a guy to fill that role specifically. And 4 guys on this list can fit that bill. You have NJR, Iconic, Rampy, and Chala. You can't go wrong with either of these guys. You just can't go wrong. And just so we know, I did have Hot and Cold on that list of potential 5th man, but since we already have 2 GZ members, sorry, Hotton, you no longer can make the roster. But back to the topic. I sat at my desk for over an hour trying to pick a 5th guy. And so imagine trying to pick the actual team. I picked NJR. Most of these guys are very similar, but in stage 1, he was quite literally an Ash Jaeger main. He had a KPR of 0.92, 55% headshot percentage, 3 clutches, and he's going to be very useful to this team. He had a plus 33 KD, a 1.14 rating, and again, I wouldn't be mad if he chose Iconic. He had a higher rating, higher cost, and higher survival percentage. You could have chose Rampy, 5th highest rating, plus 35 KD, higher cost, higher survival percentage. And Chala had the highest cost, survival percentage, clutches of them all. I was going to put Chala on the team, but I don't think they want to do a 2-2-1 stack, meaning 2 players from DZ, 2 players from TSM, and then just kind of the guy in the middle, from which would be Bosco from SSG. And so I don't think they want to do that. I think they want more diversity. And so NJR could still fill that role really nicely. And so now I present to you your 2021 Team USA roster of Bosco, Bolo, Mint, Hyper, and NJR. And so I'm not going to 100% commit to this roster because things can change. Let's say Hyper decides to go play for Greece. Now we got to fill that spot. Maybe some guys decide they're just not going to play for Team USA. Maybe they want to focus on their orgs, and we got to fill those roster spots. And just things may change as we get closer to the deadline, closer to the play days. And so let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Who do you think will be on Team USA for the R6 World Cup? And are you guys as exciting as I am? I am very excited for this. I think this is going to be a very fun event. I hope it's in the US so I can go to it. But if not, I might find my way to it anyway. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know who you have on the team down in the comment section below. See you there.